Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks.
What up, y'all? This is Tone Talks in the building. I'm up in here, Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. We doing it tonight. We're going to have a good discussion. You know, this has been a good week to have a discussion about race and sports and everything in between. You got Brian open up that school. Shout out to Brian. You got Cap. He still ain't playing no football. When they gonna let that man run? Come on. You got Sherm. Sherm done called Jerry Jones somebody with a plantation mentality. We got a lot going on. We gonna break it down. We talking about the raceless black athlete tonight. Tone Talks is on the air. You right. You can catch this on YouTube, streaming live. Tone Talks or Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. Dash Talk X. We doing it here. Shout out to Zoe Williams leading me in. I want to have a good discussion today about all of the different things that I'm seeing. You know, I've written a couple pieces on the topic. I done wrote on Colin, on Lebron, and we're going to go through some of that. But we asking a question about racelessness. You know, this sports thing, is it really about sports or is it about selling diversity? What's it all about? Showing them NBA Cares commercials, showing them Walter Payton Awards, all while black people starve. You got them celebrating in Cleveland like East Cleveland got real good schools. Shout out to Bron again, opening that school up. So, you know we do this by questions. We're going to run through those. But before I do that, let me give you the new number. Just write this down. Don't call in yet. Let me set it up. 310-986-6610 will be the number tonight to get in here, give your opinion. So the first question is, did Colin Kaepernick rekindle a fire around race that was simmering in the raceless black athlete? You know, we hadn't seen nothing since like Ali. When Cap took that knee a year ago, nobody even had a language for it. They didn't know it happened until after the game. They had to have a random black reporter run up on him and say, "Did you mean to do that? We ain't seen that before." Number two, you know, the football national anthem debate is bleeding into another season. Will this affect football? We saw the ratings take a slump, and we didn't know whether it was because of Trump or because of Kaepernick or CTE. I ain't gonna even say nothing about it. Running into each other. Come on. What's your thoughts on Richard Sherman saying that Jerry Jones has a plantation mentality? Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, said that my players will stand. My players will stand for the national anthem. Come on. You got Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones' light-skinned quarterback, saying it's not the time. Well, when is it, Dak? When's the time? When's the time to protest? You want to eat all that filet mignon while everybody in the state living in them penitentiaries in Texas? Let's get it. Number three, is LeBron James standing up for race or using racial injustice as a cover? We gonna get into it. We gotta look back at Tamir Rice. I'm gonna show y'all that so we remember 2016. We gotta remember his statements about Trump just last week. We gonna have it. Number four, does LeBron James I Promise School mean something to black folk? We gonna have the discussion about what the school means and what he's doing, the positives and negatives. We gonna give a brother a shout out though, because you gotta commend him. He didn't open no school in Africa like Oprah. He did it right in his hometown, Akron. Come on. Number five, Kaepernick versus LeBron. Who has put it on the line to stand up against racial injustice? Both? Neither? One of them? I give my opinion on it at the end of the show. But let's just start off. Let's just get it. You know, let's start with that first question. Did Colin Kaepernick rekindle a fire around race that was simmering in the raceless black athlete? You know, I want you guys to call in 310-986-6610. You can give your opinion. You know, I look back at Ali and I look at what Ali did, standing up saying, I'm not going to fight no yellow man. I'm not going out there, changing his name. You start to understand that we have a long history here in this country of athletes. Jim Brown, even Kareem, standing up and saying things that white folks don't want to hear. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee last year, right around this time, we didn't seem to have a language to understand the black athlete in that context. Before I get into the article that I wrote for the Griot right around that time, I want to share with you a quote from James Baldwin. Happy birthday to James. I believe it was his birthday this week. Now, that quote is, to be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be in a rage almost all the time. Well, at some point, Colin Kaepernick woke up. And I have to wonder how many other athletes did he wake up along with him? You got his safety, Reed, I believe. He's one of the better safeties in the league. Can't get no work because he took a knee too. You have players across the country, not just in the NFL, taking knees to show solidarity with brothers that were in prison and impoverished and couldn't find work and beaten by the police and black in America. And I start to look at this thing through a lens of, is that what football is for, though? Let me explain. I did a piece for the Griot, and it was called Colin Kaepernick Will Not Be Silent. He's a Black Man First. Let me say it again. Colin Kaepernick, salute, will not be silent. He's a black man first. I want to share a section of the article, and we're going to get into the discussion about football and whether football can produce an Ali. Because Ali was a single fighter. He wasn't selling no sandwiches. He wasn't selling no Sprite. He wasn't beholden to no white paymaster in the sense of, I got to play for a team that's in part of a league. And if I step out of line, they can take me off the field. No, he's the champ, and you're going to put the champ in the ring. So when I look at this thing, I have to start off with the quote, which is, when San Francisco 49ers Colin Kaepernick brought light to the issue of police brutality by kneeling in protest during the national anthem, he also exposed the National Football League and America's deep-rooted racial and economic offenses that have been brewing for decades. Despite the thinly covered veil some in the media have used to convey the struggles of Black America, the looming issue is one that points to just how much this country has failed African Americans. The rise of the black male sports figure and his $1 million contract produced a safe haven where blacks found a sense of pride and hope. Somehow an alternate reality was created in which America could comfortably see a jovial black man loving the sport, all while cashing in his big checks. The imagery perpetuated the deceptive notion that far less Black Americans were crippled under the historical weight of a country that had over time legally mandated so many financial obstacles in ways of their achievement. So we got all the commercials. We got all the imageries of them in the Lamborghinis driving past. We got them at the clubs. Every city, you see a black club with a football player as the special guest. So I saw I believe just last week, TMZ covered one of them got robbed. He got robbed. You know, you coming around these poor people with all that money, all that bread. It's bound to happen, especially as we go through this wealth calcification. And so I start to see this thing, and I wonder, what is the role of football? I've told you my theory, the decadent veil. Black celebrity is here to cover up black poverty. No clearer example exists other than the NFL and the NBA for me. But you might believe differently. I look over and I continue in the article. Again, this article was written about Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick will not be silent. He's a black man first. I wrote that for the Griot. Since the early 1980s and the introduction of Reaganomics, the crack cocaine epidemic, and a slew of racially based laws, African American men have found themselves largely living life as the underclass. Yet it is behind the decadent veil of the NFL and other sports organizations that the false narrative that the struggle for socioeconomic stability had somehow subsided. And that's what they projected. Thankfully, there's the data that shows otherwise. From the incarceration numbers that show black men are sent to prison at one of the highest rates the modern world has ever seen, to unemployment rates, which in some places like Milwaukee, home of the Green Bay Packers, indicate working age black men are unemployed at rates above 50%. That's social collapse, y'all. That's social collapse. The so-called American dream has not been good to black men by any stretch of the imagination. But inside of the NFL, we can always see the $1 million black man smiling, happy, loving the sport of football. With Kaepernick and other athletes finally speaking up for the disenfranchised black men who are not in their unique position, it's clear that many athletes are finally feeling the racial implications and failures of free markets. And now they're speaking up about it. So I see this thing, and I see a conundrum for the NFL. What happens when your veil don't want to be a veil no more? What happens when these black men wake up and they want to play football, but they want to talk about race? Is there space for that? This is bigger than just kneeling during the national anthem. This is about a conundrum about where black people sit in this society. See, normally in a society, you don't see, this group that produces so much failure, from incarceration to poverty, produce all the best singers and dancers and football players. And you ever been to a bar with white folks? They know every song ain't got no black friends. Oh yeah, they got one. Every white, they covered it in, I believe, the Times, and they said most white people got like one black friend, but they know all the songs. I mean, the lyrics to Dre's song, Dr. Dre's song, lyrics to Mariah Carey, lyrics to Whitney Houston. I mean, the lyrics, all the little ad libs, but they don't like black folk. I mean, really like black folk, to the point where you start talking about black issues, where you start talking about why we kneeling on national anthems. Again, this is Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. Please call in 310-986-6610. I want to hear your opinion on this. I want to hear how you think about what you think about this whole Kaepernick kneeling, LeBron James, and we're going to get into all of it today. I feel like in so many ways, America is ripping at the seams. We had Apple just listed as $1 trillion company. This is all while black folks starve all through the South. This is why they threaten to take people's welfare. What's going to be the consequence of all this? How is this going? What's going to be the fallout? And I feel like when I start to really, really pull this out and ask the harder questions, I can't help but go to, Vice came to me 3 years ago and they wanted me to write a piece. And that piece was around black men in football. And I titled it "Football's War on the Minds of Black Men." But maybe the better title would have been "Sports War on the Minds of Black Men." Now, much of it was about the actual physical contact of football, CTE and the like. But it also was about the wealth reality. What happens when your only way to make money is to destroy your body? What happens when you think your only way to make money is to destroy your body? You get in the top physical shape that you can get in, and then you run your body into somebody else. So much of this is built on the fact that our community lacks wealth. We talked about it before. For those people new to the channel, 90% of the wealth is in white hands. 2% is in black hands. It's not enough. Most of our working age families have little to no wealth. That 2% is largely in baby boomer retirees' homes and their pensions. We don't have the wealth to be here, so we produce what? Football players and basketball players. Or dream for your kid to become one. What's the biggest goal you have for your child? Be honest. I'm talking about the male. I'm talking about the male that's 6'3" and he's only 50, a firefighter. He don't want to play no football. Is that okay? So in this article, Football's War on the Minds of Black Men, I say African-American males are only 6% of the United States population, but they comprise 70% of the players in the National Football League. When we focus on the sport's high collision positions, the number of African-Americans playing by percentage rises substantially. Nearly 30% of white NFL players are kickers, punters, or quarterbacks, all positions that have lower impact. So they're not playing necessarily at the same ratio, those high impact, dangerous positions. So you see this situation where for decades, young black men have laid themselves on the line for a game which has given most of them very little back in exchange. They've risked their bodies and minds to make millions for universities, and were only given scholarships and backing with a slim chance of making it to the NFL. So how and why have our families been tricked into sending so many young boys off to play this dangerous game? Black lives got to matter on the field, just like we saying they matter on the streets. Are we ready to deal with that consequence? Are we ready to deal with the reality of what this means, that 50% unemployment exists in Milwaukee for African-American men? How can you be part of society if then you do crime as a result and you go straight to jail? You know, I look at this story about the raceless, this topic about the raceless black athlete, and I start to wonder, where are we going with this? You know, you got so many little athletes having depression and all that. You know, you had DeMar DeRozan admit to that. And so many others have had it as well, because what happens is you get that money and now everybody looking for you to be government. That's basically it. They need you to pay for college. They need you to fix mama's teeth. They need you to do everything. I'm looking at this thing and I continue on with this Vice Sports piece, and as much as players, particularly the black ones, are chastised in the media for their lavish lifestyles, an NFL contract is the economic hope of many poor black youth and their families. You look at a guy like Jameis Winston. I watched his story. Oh my God. He was living 6 to a room with his cousins. Then you get to the league and you do little crazy stuff, and everybody like, where you do the crazy stuff for? Look where I grew up. Look where I come from. Now, that's not an excuse. I know it sounds like an excuse, but it's a reality. You see, like, I think for a lot of people that grew up in a little bit more privilege, even black folks, 2 parents, boomers, put you on the college track, it's a little different for you. Let's take that call. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm calling from Columbia, South Carolina.
Thank you so much for calling. What's your name?
Oh, my name is Darius Lamb.
What up, fam? Give me your opinion on this. Actually, let me read a little bit more of this, and then I'm gonna let you chime in. So finishing up with this Vice Sports article, there may only be more than 1,700 African-American men with deals, NFL deals, but that still is 1,700 6-, 7-, and 8-figure deals that families and friends of players are relying on for their economic security. For all the expensive cars and frivolous clubbing, these guys are propping up immediate and extended families on their salaries. This is what's behind it all. So now you got to be raceless. Is there somebody on hold on your line? Now you got to be raceless, and what ends up happening is that you can't stand up for your community, but you could give your mama a check. Caller, what's your take on all this?
Well, I mean, you know, I'm a high school student, so I mean, I understand this really well because I have so many high school students, and I was one of those that was like, man, I want to get to the NBA, man, I'm going to make millions, you know, it's going to be my dream. But then I realized, like, I'm seeing all these players getting concussions, getting broken injuries, and they're not even getting the D1 scholarship. It's less than 0.5% of black men that are going to make it. So is it really worth us spending all this time on a dream that is only for like a very few, or should we be focused on politics and getting active in our communities?
Let me say this to you, man, bro. I appreciate you being up late, calling my show. Man, that's some powerful stuff for you to be watching my show this late all the way across the country. I'm going to say this to you, that I started off with the whole idea that this is some kind of good goal. All I could do is talk about myself. I remember being little, my pops tried to get me in that stuff. I ain't running into no grown other man. My body ain't meant for that. So let's start off with the idea that this is a good job. Let's talk about the components, not the pay, the components. You're going to put on all this helmet and football stuff. You're going to run full speed into another person. And you're going to do that for the next 15 to 20 years of your life until your body gives up. And then, in addition to do it, you got to travel into all kind of weather all across the country. And you better be smiling while you do it. So I start off with the idea that this is some kind of good job. This is the goal of Black America, to become the raceless black athlete with nothing but black problems. And I challenge it all. I say that it's not a good job. I say that it's going to leave you with CTE, like I said in the Vice Sports piece. It's going to leave you with broken family as you go schizophrenic like Junior Seau showing up in your mind. So now we move to the second part, which is just the numbers. Is it a good bet? Even if you want to do all that, is it a good bet? No. We need to be demanding from government access to be able to have regular jobs that provide for communities so that we can have comfortable lives. What's your take on it? I'll let you end out.
Well, I mean, we don't even focus on the own condition of our health. Right now, we have Black women having infant mortality rates as twice the rate as compared to American society. We have our women unable to be able to breastfeed their own children. Many of our Black counties have food shortages. So we're focused on, man, can I dunk the ball? Man, I'm going to get this $20 million contract. Well, meanwhile, your mama or daddy's struggling to get by, and you ain't got no wells.
I agree, man. Let me. I think I got another caller. I appreciate you calling in, bro.
No problem.
Thank you. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Sarah calling from Sacramento.
Oh, thank you so much. Callie in the building. So
Callie in the building.
You know, let me share something with you because I want you to run with me. You know,
Thank you.
Football's national anthem debate is bleeding into another season. Will this affect football? So Richard Sherman basically said Jerry Jones has a plantation mentality. And Jerry Jones says, our policy is you going to stand during the national anthem. We the America's team. Then his quarterback, Dak Prescott, comes out, Mississippi boy. And he says, it's just important for me to go out there, hand over my heart, represent our country, and just be thankful. And I don't think that's the time or the venue to do so. Never protest during the anthem. What's your take on this whole thing? You don't have to speak just to that, but you got to start there. Come on.
I'll start there. I don't know what he means by representing his country. Is this the Olympics? I don't even know where that comes from. You're representing your team, not your country when you play. Like, that tells me that he's based in ignorance. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know where that statement even comes into play. I think it's interesting that he's from Mississippi. I live in Sacramento now. I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I think that the football culture amongst African Americans is a little bit more deep in the South than it is in the Northeast. I could be wrong, but I do have a brother and I have a father, neither of whom played football or were ever encouraged to play football. But they do love watching football. But I do have friends and family from the South, and football is a major part of the culture. And I think the statement is right, not just about Jerry Jones, but I think all of them are kind of plantation owners who are really paying Black men to work for them.
I mean, that's what you saw during their meeting. During their meeting,
yeah.
They was talking about, the thing is, like, people think this is just this great job. Nah, they put you in that combine and put you down with that Vaseline on your body, and you standing up there. I interviewed, and you can check it on my channel, a Kansas City Chief cornerback. I interviewed him maybe about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and he said for him it felt like being on a slave plantation, like in terms of standing up there on that block. See, we don't do, like, for regular Black folks to just go to college, like I went to UCLA. There's no moment in my life where I stood in front of white folks with grease on my body
and ran around. They
on.
used to make African American males who were enslaved run to test their strength when they were being sold. And that's exactly what happens at football tryouts.
Let me give you another one. What's the trip about the whole thing is the amount of screaming. Like, this is basketball too. Like, in most of our jobs, we might deal with, white people or Latinos or, even other black people, and they treat us poorly. But to be screamed and tiraded against like a child, that's a whole nother. So this job in so many different levels is just not a good job. Not a good job for your psychological. You look at
or your body.
The Eagles say all pro safety. I think he almost going to the Hall of Fame. He has major depression. He said he has major depression because of what he went through early on with football. I'm talking about the coaches and finding your way and the position coaches. Because everybody's under pressure and everybody's screaming at you and screaming at each other. You're on the field and you screaming at the other guy across from you. It's a lot of just competition all the time. And I come back to what we talking about the racelessness of it all. You then turn on the TV box, though, and all you see is this black quarterback giving the football over to this white kid. All you see is the feel-good stories that race no longer matters in America. We got black people with money, too. Let me show you one. Dak Prescott, come on over here for a photo. And you wonder what the impact that has on race as a whole as we try to do politics. Is there something else you wanted to speak to? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, yes, because I think not only is that image detrimental, but I think the Lebron situation is detrimental as well. I view Kaepernick as T'Challa. I mean, Kaepernick as Killmonger and LeBron as T'Challa in the narrative.
I think. Let me say this. Let me give a little pushback. A little pushback. I think that's a little unfair to LeBron, and it's overstating Kaepernick. I'm gonna say this because everybody looking for me to go at LeBron about his school, and we're gonna get into that in a second. Maybe you can ride with me through a couple more things, but I think that you got to commend what LeBron did with the school. I've looked at it. It's not a charter school. This is a real public school where he came from. This is a real public school targeting the worst kids where he came from. It's not a private school. It's not a charter school. It is a school using the $10,000, which is among the lowest in the country that they give per student, and trying to give them a huge amount of services. The only way that can happen is that his foundation, it isn't him. Don't think that LeBron is taking his NBA check and then giving it over to the school. No, his foundation is subsidizing each one of those kids and their families to try to get their life on track. Commendable. On the other side, I look at Kaepernick, and we can't fail to realize that Kaepernick went through a journey himself. It's not like he came into the league and this is his second year. He had a bunch of years to do this. He was awoken by a woman. I think his girlfriend. That's what a lot of people say. And as a result, he went through that journey. So I when I look at this thing, I don't know if they're purely like antithesis in that sort, but I do think that they both represent the fundamental conundrum of the raceless athlete in modern America, because these people are tied to leagues, and the leagues need to make money, and that money is made largely by selling jerseys to little white kids. Jerseys to little white kids all across this country. There's a line in the piece that I'm gonna share later, and I did this piece on the internet, and what I talked about was how here it goes right here. Listen to this. When Kaepernick stood up, he was also standing up to a system built on ignoring the reality of race in our great nation. A system built on chokeholds of the Eric Garners of the world, rough rides in the paddy wagon experienced by the Freddie Grays, and the untold stories of the Walter Scotts shot in the back while only trying not to go back to prison. See, this is the part right here, and I want you to speak to this. Cap, when you stand up for these issues, little white kids in suburban America can no longer hang your jersey next to their copy of the shield carried by Cap from the Avengers. You lose your status as a superhero when you become vocal and you instead make yourself into a real problem for the money-making engine called the NFL. That's in a piece called Kaepernick May Never Play Football Again for saying Black Lives Matter. I said that maybe a year and a half ago, and here we are. He'll never play again. So, I mean, what's your thoughts on, let's pull that out. Let's pull that out some. Explain what you meant by saying Killmonger versus T'Challa, because I want to hear that.
It might have been a little bit of a overgeneralized statement. I guess what I felt, because I saw LeBron, what he did in a lot of my news feeds on all of my social media platforms this week. I guess I just don't want people, African Americans, descendant of slaves, to be so enthralled with a humanitarian effort, because I think we can tend to rely too heavily on an Oprah or on a Lebron, or get fed in a movie that made $1 billion that is the solution. You just need an independently wealthy person to come in and to rescue you from your situation instead of politics. And I think what is missing from LeBron is politics.
You're right. You're right. Let me jump in here and say one other thing.
Kaepernick has the politics.
Let me jump in one other thing. What you see is that the school is not race based, though. We got to be fair with this thing. You look at the board for this school. It comes from the LeBron James Foundation. Almost all white folk. I'm gonna pull the picture up on YouTube when I repost. You got one light skinned brother from what I saw. So, I mean, is this LeBron James, or is this the idea, the brainchild of some good-hearted white folk in Akron? You know, this is a school that largely is being run with the clear partnership with the teachers union there. Now, I'm not saying that he's wrong for it, but I just don't know if this helps Black America the way Black America thinks. I'm not even dealing with the fact that it's just 240 kids. I'm dealing with the fact that it's not Black focused, Black led, or it's not even teaching any unique Black studies, to my knowledge. And that's the way we're celebrating it right now. Is that the limitation of LeBron James? Is that the limitation of us putting our faith in LeBron James, and that LeBron James can only go this far? And as a result, he can't go far enough to be transformative in a way that Black folks need him to be. Is there any last thing you want to say to the audience?
No, I really appreciate your show. Thank you so much for doing this, and I will tune in for the rest of the show. Thank you so much. You and Yvette are amazing and have really changed my life. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So we're going to be at the Progressive Baptist Conference. All the big Baptist preachers, we're going to be teaching them, me and Yvette Carnell, when I say we, are going to be teaching Black wealth so they can bring it into their mega churches. Now, for those that don't know, go look up the Progressive Baptists, because they don't play. That's the group that backed Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The goal here isn't just to be talking. I'm trying to change the country here. I'm trying to change the way everybody understands race and wealth. Hands down. You here, you with me. Before you watch my videos, did you know that Black folks don't have no wealth? I mean, I know you felt it. I know you kind of knew it. But did you know that the middle Black family didn't have but $1,700 after taking out depreciating assets? Now, we need other Black people to know that. We need white folks to know that. In so many ways, what I want to do with this project is to project it across the nation. We're going to be at the Progressive Baptist in Philly on Monday. Shout out to them. This is Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. I'm going to go to a commercial break and come right back. We're going to get into this LeBron James thing. What up, y'all? I appreciate y'all being here with me on your Friday. You didn't have to be here. I had a high school student in South Carolina call in. Shout out to that little brother. I mean, to be doing that kind of work at that age, because at that age, I was in trouble. I wasn't calling no radio show talking about, well, come on, man. Shout out to you, brother, if you're still listening. Now, you know, this is the thing. We gonna get into LeBron James. I ain't bashing LeBron James today, but I'm gonna talk that real. You know, I done gave him his praise for the school, even though I feel like it is race neutral. And I think we need a race-focused answer. American DOS. What I am gonna look at is LeBron James' history. My question is LeBron James standing up for race or using racial injustice as a cover? You got to look at when he announces the school and ask yourself, he could have announced it last year, could have announced it next year. Was it part of it that you leave in Cleveland and you just wanted everybody to think well about you? You didn't want your jerseys burnt? I mean, it's such an interesting moment. Then the second question is, would you send your own kids there? When I look at Ali and the nation, I know Ali would send his kids. The question is, would you send your own kids to the schools that the nation had, meaning that? Would you send your own kids to this school? Would they eat this product? Because the school that I look at your kid going to next year is $40,000 a year. And it ain't servicing no I promise. And I'm saying all that just to say, we got to be honest about things when we look at it. We got to be honest about what we reading. We can't help but look at the statement that LeBron James makes just last week. LeBron James says, this race thing is taking over as Donald Trump uses sports to divide us. How do you say that? How do you say that in a country where the number of black men, there's only 10 million black men in this country, I mean, working age black men. There's 20 million altogether, but they're 19 million altogether. But I'm taking out the babies and the old men. It's like 10, 12 million working age black men. That small group produced more prisoners, and I did this in a piece on Huffington Post, black male incarceration is real and catastrophic, than 9 countries that represent 2 billion people. Both groups produce 700,000 prisoners. How do you say that race is dividing us when everybody that look like you that's named LeBron across this country is suffering? Do you not know? Do you not care? I don't think you don't care. I just think you don't know. But maybe by not knowing, you don't care. So I look at this thing and I'm seeing LeBron James and I can't help but go back to Tamir. I know y'all don't want me to bring it up, but I'm looking at Tamir Rice. Tamir Rice was an interesting problem for LeBron. Can you sell Sprites and care about Tamir? Can you sell Sprites and stand up against the police in Cleveland? When Tamir Rice was shot down, it took a long time for LeBron to speak. It took a real long time to speak, and when he did, he said, this issue is bigger than me. He said, this issue is bigger than me. It's about everyone. No, LeBron. This issue is about black folks in Cleveland with a long history of racial segregation. This issue is right in front of you. This is your moment. This is your chance. And in that moment, what we saw is him say nothing for a long time. Got so bad that Tamir Rice's mother was sad about LeBron James not speaking. Her exact words, Tamir Rice, was, I think it's quite sad that LeBron hasn't spoken about my son. Spoken out about my son. Let me correct that. I'm not asking him to sit out a game. I know his kids got to eat too, but you could at least put a shirt on or something. Come on. I think they should just make a statement, she added. I'm not asking nobody to quit their job or anything, but make a statement for us black people out here. This is the problem with the raceless black athlete system. You are asking for that. Because the athlete that we see today is not Ali. They are positioned to sell promotional product and jerseys to little white boys, little white girls all across this country that don't want to hear about no protests, no police beatings when they watching their good sport. This is what's going on. Do we understand what wealth calcification is going to do? Do we understand that Thomas Piketty of Capital in the 21st Century, a claim book, said that America has the highest wealth inequality since the Depression? Do we know what that means as we send black boys onto gridiron fields to protect and give families what government should be giving families? The kind of pressure on those young boys, the kind of denial we do to the little girls who can't do the same. Come on. Are we treating our daughters the same way we treat our sons? Are we giving them praise when they make that basket? Ain't no $1 million behind it. We just saw the big to-do about the WNBA players. They don't really get paid like that. So is it worth the same? For all those people that say it's just about basketball, why you don't watch the WNBA? Huh? I look at this and I think that we're not watching basketball. We watching Escape. We watching black folks have money the way that we think black folks should have money if race never happened. If slavery never happened, if Jim Crow didn't happen, this is the way that black folks would be, happy and wealthy and just as kind as can be. It's funny because, you know, in my life, I've been able to be around some of the wealthiest black folks in this country and really sit down with them. And one thing that I've been able to pick up is that what wealth does today is something that it didn't do in the 60s. See, like when you Dr. Dre or Jamie Foxx, I really believe when you sit down at a restaurant, people don't even see a black man no more. They see him physically, but they don't see like a social reality that you won't tip or that you don't have money maybe, or that you might run out of the restaurant. Nah, they see the reality that you got money. You got more than enough money to eat at this restaurant and leave like a $50 tip. And they treat you like that. Thing is, white folks get treated like that regardless of being an athlete. So regardless of being an entertainer. And I'm saying all this to say we are facing a big conundrum here. And that conundrum is, how are we going to view these athletes? Again, Dash Radio, Dash Talk X, streaming on YouTube. Please use the super chat. Support this channel. I do this just to, you know, be part of the community, but be nice to get some support from you guys. Call in at 310-986-6610. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your opinion on this. This is for us to share this channel, this Tone Talks channel, this moment at Dash Radio. Shout out to Dash Radio. Every once in a while, I try to do that. We lost our black radio with the Telecom Act. I shout out Dash Radio and Dash Talk X for giving me a chance to use this as a platform to spread messages that are not being heard anywhere else other than here in YouTube. So I have to move over to his school. Before I do that, I'm going to take a caller. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? You got to turn your background down. You got to turn your background down, sir.
Sorry. Ratch Cucamonga.
Hello?
Hello? Ratch Cucamonga?
Yeah, your name?
Carl.
Hey, Carl, give me your opinion on this.
I think with LeBron, because he was so close to the issue, that's why it took him so long to express himself, and it wasn't the best expression of, hey, I'm part of the community. I think in the back of his mind, he's been very strategic on the court and off the court as far as like the school, his responses with the T-shirt. Because think about it. Eric Gardner, I Can't Breathe, has a T-shirt. So he's been willing to respond, but it had to be away from his immediate environment. So he's still black to us, but around the city of Cleveland, then those white people can still embrace him as their idol on the court.
Yeah, but none of it worked that way. What I'm saying to you is that it's going to have to be like Cap did it or not at all, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. Is there anything else you wanted to say? Because the phone lines is lit.
No. Okay. I just want to dispute that a little bit. I know it can't work that way, but for certain individuals, maybe it's like the forest for the trees. I'm looking at a bigger picture, speaking from LeBron's perspective. For a bigger picture, it has to work in this incremental portion. Like now that he's here in L.A., let's see what he does if something else happens.
All right, thank you so much.
All right.
Let's take the next caller. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good evening. My name is Jimmy. I'm from New York.
Hey, Jimmy. Let me say one last thing on the last caller. Thank you so much for calling in. I always love when somebody calls in and gives the adverse opinion. The only thing I'll tell you is this don't happen in increments. Capital is not asking for little pieces of their money. They want it all. Tax reform has just been passed. 2019 will get in black folks' ass. I'm telling you that right now. I'm telling you that the way that you did dependence is over. And they don't care how it affects your family. I understand that everybody wants to say, oh, LeBron gonna do a little here and a little there. It happens all at once or not at all. That's the one thing that you see with Cap's statement. People, I think that Cap kind of knew, like, this is it for me. If I do this, this is liable to take my whole career. Do I think he knew that he would never play again? No. But I think he understood that I can't do this raceless. When I talk to the reporter and they ask me why I did it, I'm going to say not that I did it because people are poor. I did it because they are beating the hell out of black men all across this city and destroying black families through incarceration. There's no increments to this. I see you in LA, LeBron. If I catch you, I'm going to tell you the truth. Maybe you ain't been exposed, but we coming. Caller, what's your take on this?
Well, first, let me just say that, Tone, you keep the truth going, and I appreciate you just, doing the work that you do, that, exposing the black celebrities and, all the work that you do. But as far as Cap or LeBron, if I had to measure it, yeah, I would put Cap over LeBron as far as his knowledge, his sacrifice. But, we still talk about the same Cap that a few months ago, he said that, when Diddy was interested in or put out that statement saying that he wanted to buy the Carolina Panthers, that, put me in on that.
No, I saw that.
Is somebody that
I saw that.
Right. Cap still is under development.
Yeah, and the problem. Let me say this: the problem I see with a lot of athletes as a whole is, and I'm not dealing with whether they can read and write and whether they show intelligence. One of the problems that I see is that I haven't even. They just never really reached that awakening because they've been playing that sport so long. Every day I'm a cut left. Every day I'm a cut left. Every day I'm a jab step. People don't understand the amount of time that they spent doing that, whatever they done, and how that just occupied everything about their essence until they became awoken by, say, a girlfriend or something like that. And it was different, I think, for Ali in the sense that I think Ali was going through a journey before he even got to the nation. I listened to Ali before he changed his name and everything. He was going through a journey already, like a young clip. I might even post that on my page so everybody can kind of see it. But I want you to give me one last opinion before I let you go on what you take on all this thing, LeBron James and the school and all that.
My take is that it's him doing his part, but it's not enough. And as you push as a vet, and all the economists that you like to reference, Darity, Hamilton, it has to be transformative via the government.
Let me say this. Let me go further. Darity and Hamilton, shout out to them. Shout out to Derek Hamilton. He was just named executive director of race and wealth at Ohio State. So understand the report I did, and I'm going to hold that up for everybody again. Make sure you check that out. What we get wrong about closing the racial wealth gap. And in Myth 9, we really address what I'm talking about right now with you guys. And that's the question. That is the conundrum about black celebrity. Is black celebrity serving as a cover for us not being able to see and recognize the state of black people? The growing number of black celebrities prove the racial wealth gap is closing is a myth. It's a myth. And I feel like in many instances, what ends up happening is that we take that myth and we expand it, we dress it up, we quilted it so it fits all over us, but it's too thin. Couple hundred people. We're 20 million strong and largely don't have, and families, we're 20 million families strong and we don't have any wealth. But we got dreams though. Astronauts and senators and, professors, all the stuff that costs hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to do. And I'm saying to us that we got to get this athlete off us. We got to get this off us, this entertainer, this rapper, so that we can see ourselves and see our lack of wealth. Caller, thank you so much for calling in. The phone lines are lit. I want to give everybody a chance to speak.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello? Let's take the next caller. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Yeah, so what I'm seeing as a whole is we're struggling with blackness in America. We're struggling with race and what it means and how we're going to move forward with it. And I think that we're looking for any answer as a result. The next question was, does LeBron James I Promise School, what does it mean to black America? What does that school mean? How LeBron, and there's a great article if anybody wants to really learn about this school, and it's titled, how LeBron James' new public school really is the first of its kind. And you got this image of him, and it says, these are the things that I Promise School focuses on. Focuses on accelerated learning, provides job placement and assistance for parents, has an on-site food bank, supports students with stress from economic causes, gives every student a bike to escape dangerous parts of town and explore, guarantees free college tuition to the University of Akron to all graduates starting in 2021. Let me start off with the positives. I feel like this is just something that we all need to just take a step back and just appreciate that somebody's able to accomplish this, but with the lens of understanding that this is not enough or even the first step. Let me take the next caller. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello?
This is Tony. Yeah, this is Tony in Atlanta.
Yeah, what up? What up, man? So let me finish this thought. What I see is you can't do nothing but commend him on taking, usually with these little schools, they take all the best students. And then the best students do great at their school, and then they say, my school is great because the best students did great. That's not what LeBron James did. He took third and fourth graders that are F students. And then now he putting them into this accelerated way to get better. We won't really be able to judge this until after. Let me say that again. We won't really be able to judge this whole little program until after these kids get of college age and beyond. Now, I feel personally, and this is me, and this is not a shot at LeBron and what he chose to do, because every man can choose to do what they choose to do with what their success is. I would have rather he did it like Prince. That it was real subtle and we just find out about it later. Now, he might have motivations, though, that he trying to get more money into the school or whatever be the case. But I would have preferred he was a secret donor and we just find out later. That's not what happened here. Caller, what's your take on all of this? Anything you want to speak on?
Yeah, first of all, man, salute you for doing what you're doing. You're absolutely correct from the Ali standpoint and the entertainment standpoint. And I think what we have to do as black people, we have to understand Ali was a boxer. So he was kind of like self-employed.
Yep.
So it was marketing for him to stand up and publicize what he was doing because he was trying to sell tickets. Pulling back from that, it's like the system now ran with that notion that, hey, let's give them these celebrities. Let's give blacks.
Wait. Let's back up some. Let's flesh that out, because you dropped the bomb. Ali saying that he not going to war. Ali changing his name to Muhammad Ali. Ali saying what he said about marrying black women and black folks needing to be. None of that sat well with white folks, though.
Right.
I don't think we really remember how much people hated Ali in the 60s. We didn't get the Ali we love until the 80s. Ali was broke. like I don't think that he was doing this for marketing. That's my pushback. I think he was doing this for black folk. Now, we all have our rights to our opinion. I think that these young people today have much more of a mix of marketing involved. Very, very high level marketing, positioning, and things of the sort. I don't think Kaepernick was doing his for marketing either, though. Let me say that.
No.
Because Kaepernick's knee happened at that preseason game, I believe, and nobody knew it until after the game. It was after the game that the reporter comes up and says, "Why did you do that? Hold on. I saw you do something, and I'm not sure if you meant to do that. Was this a racial thing?" And he says, "I did it." He says that I did it to stand up for police brutality and things of the sort. He said so much there, and I think I actually have the language that he used. Let me see if I got it. I'll let you continue on while I try to find that.
Okay, it's a double-edged sword. When I say Ali was doing marketing, he learned what Kaepernick learned, which is in the beginning it was marketing, being boisterous, excellent at what you do. It was selling tickets even though the Europeans hated him because he was going contrary to Joe Louis. But Ali learned how nasty the government can be when they stripped him of his title and took his money Kaepernick is learning the same thing, which Kaepernick really represents the everyday black man in society. When you stand up at the job or you stand up in society, you're going to 9 times out of 10 get the Kaepernick treatment. You're not going to get support from other black men or black people in general, and you're going to get pushed to the wayside. So he fell on the sword for us to kind of get this movement going. And so did Ali in a way. Ali ended up falling on the sword, but Ali in the beginning, when I use the term marketing, he was promoting himself in the beginning, and he was young, 19, 20, youngest heavyweight champ, whatever have you. But then when the government turned on him and said, hey, you need to go to the war, he was like, well, wait a minute now, I'm a professional boxer. And then they showed him how you dance to our tune. Kaepernick, on the other hand, I could relate to Kaepernick. I got discriminated on before I became self-employed and working for myself. So Kaepernick's story, I think, relates more to the everyday black man. LeBron, I really can't knock LeBron because what you said earlier, he's a basketball player. It's not his job to change government.
Let me jump in here. Let me read these words from Kaepernick. I'll continue to sit. I'm going to stand with the people that are being oppressed. To me, this is something that has to change, and when there's a significant change, and I feel like that flag represents what it's supposed to represent in this country, is represented that way. That's it's supposed to. I'll stand once it does that. And this is Kaepernick's own words. He's not standing until you fix things, which calls for transformative government. And you know, it leads me to my last statement. Caller, any last thing you want to say?
I just salute you for what you're doing, bruh, and just keep doing what you're doing, man. Hopefully we'll start waking up, and like you say, man, all the time, stop putting these entertainers on pedestals, man, and let's get the people who really supposed to be working for us. Let's hold them accountable. Much love, bro.
Thank you so much for calling in. Now, this is it. You know, I put it as Kaepernick versus LeBron, but let me change it a little bit. Kaepernick and LeBron. Who has put it on the line to stand up against racial injustice? Both, none, either. I start with Kaepernick. I believe that he has. I believe Kaepernick he was on the backside of his career. Let's be real. But he had some good years left. And we don't know what he could have done off the field in the San Francisco market that's totally done. I mean, we saw the recent thing with they got so bad that they done scrubbed his name off the game. The game. They knew what that song was about. The video has a Kaepernick jersey in it. You license the song, then you scrub his name off the game for the EA Sports game. I'm with the boycott of the game. Get the game up out of here. But on the other side, I see LeBron, and I believe many of his answers will affect black people more, especially being in Cleveland and the poverty there with black folks, are race neutral. Because race neutral is easy. Race neutral is easy. It's easy to make the Tamir statement about affecting all of us, or say that Donald Trump is dividing us by race. You ain't got to give up no sponsorships to do that. The question is going to come, because it's coming. Too much poverty coming for black folks. What's LeBron going to choose, black folks or white folks, when he got to? We don't know that yet. You know, my thing coming back to it is that the raceless black athlete has been around for like 20 years, 25 years, playing around the fringes. Well, I think wealth inequality is going to bring it all to a head. They're going to have to really stand up for their communities and say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not selling that. I'm not selling no racial equality that hasn't been achieved. I want to just say thank you for tuning in to Tone Talk. Please share this, like this, use the super chat. Go to tonetalks.org to subscribe and donate. Dash Radio, Dash Talk X, support all the shows on this channel. Thank you for tuning in to Tone Talks.